The final passage reads, "On that fated land, a great war shall transpire. Darkness will prevail, and light expire. This world is full of light. It's a world comprised of many smaller worlds, all connected, stretching as far as the eye can see. One great light protects us all. All worlds share one light, one fate." I take it you're talking about Kingdom Hearts.
Yep.
In ancient times, people believed that light was a gift from an unseen land. By the name of Kingdom Hearts. But Kingdom Hearts was safeguarded by its counterpart, the Keyblade. Warriors vied for that precious light, thus beginning the Keyblade War. All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear. Sounds like your trip around the world opened your eyes, but you got a little bit more than you anticipated. You must have seen a lot of darkness. So you're saying the weak feel the need to justify their actions to maintain a sense of self. You can't let that slide. I suppose letting false light dictate the future might be a pretty lousy move. So, you can make a change. You have that power. What do you want for the world? You believe the world needs you. Sounds like you already know where you're headed. If you truly possess great power, the darkness can't control you.
All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
Why not just sit back and watch it play out?
All of this was decided.
May your heart be your guiding key. Who are you really? Some kind of fortune teller? Well, I could lie, tell you that's what I am, when I'm actually a brilliant artist, even a scholar. I could tell you that I dream of world peace, when I'm actually planning for its destruction. The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
Why not just sit back and watch it play out?
All of this was decided.
May your heart be your guiding key. May your heart be your guiding key.
Well. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome to episode 128 of the Landy Lodge podcast. How's everybody doing tonight? I see we've got a number of you sickos already in the chat, most notably a Sage of the Lodge, Corey Sarakis. Speaking of the Sages of the Lodge, let's give them a shout out because without them, this would not be possible. So major shout out to Charlotte, Alex, Chris, Maria, Shane, David, Scott, Jillian, Corey, Twilight, Blaze, Nick, Kevin, AJ, Michael, Andrew, Brendan, Gaseous Snake, Mookie, Orpheus Joshua, Jordan, Corey, Axel, DJ, Brady, Jack 2 Park, Cosmic Heyman, and our newest Sage of the Lodge, ladies and gentlemen, Seth Stanford Resinger. And man, guys, that list is getting so long. That I really think I really think it may be time for me to find a different shout-out method because it's eaten up like 60 seconds of every podcast. So I think I may need to find a new shout-out method. So let's get Seth here on the overlay. Seth, dude, thank you so much for becoming a Sage of the Lodge. And for those who don't know, the Sages of the Lodge are the YouTube channel members of those who subscribe directly, who give as little as $1 a month to keep my nonsense going. And speaking of this nonsense, we have one last shout-out. In fact, two last shout-outs. One, our newest follower on Twitch, Ash Attack 666. And lastly, I have a personal announcement. This weekend, me and my fiance got married, which was a beautiful experience. I married the woman of my dreams. Many of you know the Lady of the Lodge, Charlotte herself. Our wedding ceremony isn't for another year and a half, but like we've mentally like been married to each other for so long. We're like, let's just make it official and we'll have the party in a year and a half. So we decided to go and make our marriage official. You know, it makes planning the wedding easier, lets us take our time a little bit, but it's been such a wonderful weekend. I had family come in from town. You know, my parents came in, my brothers came in, her parents, her brother. It was just a wonderful weekend. So it's been nothing but good vibes. If you're wondering why I wasn't really around last week, not many streams, no podcast, no video, I had family in town for that reason. I just, played that one a little close to the chest. But your boy's a married man now. I couldn't be happier about it. But speaking of hearts and love, why not we get into the topic at hand here? Tetusya Nomura, the director of Kingdom Hearts, put out an interview, and there are some bombshells in this, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta be real with you. I skimmed it. There were some sections I really gave a good look at, but for the most part, I skimmed this because I want to look at this raw here on the podcast with everybody. But I'm looking in the chat now. Thank you. Oh my God. Oh man. Thank you so much, everybody. Audio sync a little off, Landy. Huh? Is it a bit too much? How's it look? You guys let me know. Hey everyone, what's up? Landy, I have questions about these new information. Well, we usually do questions at the end, so if you stick around for the ending, we will get that. Alyssa, it's great to see you. Oh my goodness. Merrick, good to have you in here. Brady, a Sage of the Lodge. What if she's using you as a vessel for darkness? Maybe I'm into it. But, dude, thanks so much for the kind words, everybody. It looks fine on Twitch. Okay, we're gonna roll. I'm sure it's okay. If it's a little off, I'm sure you guys will be okay. But, let's get into it, everybody. Nomura reveals more on Kingdom Hearts 4 and the series' future with Final Fantasy, which has been a hot topic lately, guys. I've noticed there's been a lot of people who have very mixed feelings about this more Final Fantasy-esque aesthetic and direction the series seems to be going in. Me personally, I'm all in for it and I love it, but we're going to get some more details on that here, and I'm glad that Nomura is addressing that here in this interview. But look, this came from Gameinformer. The article is by Kimberly Wallace, so thank you, Kim, for putting this out. And hey, Gameinformer, man. I can't remember the last time I opened a Gameinformer magazine or looked at Gameinformer's website, but here we are now, right? Excuse me. Let's get into this a little bit. There are some really cool words by Nomura here. Let's start with some of the easier stuff. The series recently celebrated 20 years. How does it feel to look back on the last 2 decades, and what do you hope Kingdom Hearts' legacy will be? Nomura responds, I feel like 20 years is a very long time, except it also doesn't really feel that way. I have vague memories of visiting the Disney offices in the United States and having meetings throughout the long history that we've had. But when it comes to memories of the development and just making the actual game, it's just kind of fuzzy. It doesn't feel like anything has become a memory because the series is still continuing, and it's all still in real time. The series is always evolving. The stories are still going on. Regarding the legacy, I suppose the heart is a central theme to the story of Kingdom Hearts. We will continue to depict that and tell the story of the heart in different ways. So, there was a lot that was said here I really liked. One, I think Nomura expresses a lot of what we talk about as the unique thing about Kingdom Hearts, is that it's always going on. The stories are still ongoing. So it doesn't really feel like the past to Nomura, because I'm sure, as we've seen now, I'm sure he has a general idea of the story he wants to tell from beginning to end, from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 7, whatever it's going to be. It's kind of cool to feel like he's kind of in this stream of consciousness, kind of just pumping this out, that it's all kind of bled together. I think that's pretty cool. But I'd like this last line here. We will continue to depict that and tell the story of the heart in different ways. So this is the crazy thing to me. Is it seems like a lot of what the marketing for Kingdom Hearts 4 in the future of this series has been the likes of Nomura, Kitase, and Nojima telling you things are going to be different, right? We all heard the language of mix up the formula and, you know, where they're looking to change things. That's going to be a theme in this interview. They kind of give a little bit of an insight to what some of these changes are going to be like. So let's move on. The series is known for its cliffhanger finales. You can freaking say that again. Jesus, I got lost. How do you approach keeping these satisfying but still ensuring fans felt like they had some answers? Papa Nomura responds, with every title we just try to create a game that is contained within itself. There's an actual ending in a sense to each game. I would agree with that. I think every game, if you took it as it is, as a standalone, while there might be some context that puts some things over your head, let me just turn my little notifications off there. While there's some missing context that might put some things over your head, I really do think for the most part, every single Kingdom Hearts game can be enjoyed as a standalone thing. But anyway, but since the Kingdom Hearts storyline has so many mysteries and the story is ongoing, there are just so many different things that we can get into. Fans say every time they think they figure something out, there's now a new mystery that they need to figure out. I love this because I feel like us internet like weirdos out here crawling for like Kingdom Hearts theories and craving talking about this series as much as we can. It's good to see that there's at least some awareness over at Square Enix as this is really what we're going through. That every time we get some answers about one mystery, it opens up the door for two more mysteries. So it's kind of cool to see that that's really been their narrative direction, that it's not just an accident, right? That this has been very intentional. But moving on, I suppose it's a combination of just trying to make sure that the game is contained within itself and comes to a clear stop. But then also, it's just trying to prepare a new mystery so that fans are aware of what will be important in the next title or the next part of the story that's coming up. Personally, I feel like this approach is not really anything special. It's something that all game developers might be considering when they make their games. And yeah, I think that one is pretty run-of-the-mill. Is there desync or is it just me? It seems like YouTube is having some sync issues, but it looks like Twitch is okay. The video and the sound is not synced, by the way. Okay. I think I know how to fix this. Everybody hang on. Everybody hang on. Okay, how's this, everybody? How are we sounding now? I hope that's a bit of an improvement. There might be a little bit of fuzziness because I'm losing a bit of an edge, but you guys let me know how that sounds. Okay, it's a few seconds off. Okay, off on Twitch, but it's a YouTube issue right now. Oh, is it really a YouTube issue? It's not anything on our end? Somebody confirm that for me. That fixed it. Okay, is the quality okay? That's what I'm hoping for. But anyway, let's get back into this here. Yeah, so I think this is some of the most run-of-the-mill kind of stuff in this interview, is that, you know, kind of planning for the next game is just the normal circumstance, the normal run-of-the-mill stuff for not just the Kingdom Hearts team, but game developers. Billy the Kid Lawrence dropping in with a super chat, says, feed us, Daddy Nomura. Here's a $5 holla for Kingdom Hearts 4. Goodness, congrats on the marriage. Billy the Kid, dude, thank you so much for that, man. And dude, you've been so supportive of the channel lately, dude. I don't know how I'll ever pay you back, but dude, thank you so much. Just know you never need to do that. Just hanging out here in the chat is more than enough. But that $5 super chat goes a long way. That's a tank of gas these days. So, you know, I appreciate you doing that, man. Thank you so much. Corey says perfect on YouTube now. Happy to hear it. All right, moving on. What has been your favorite cliffhanger to see fans' reaction to? The first thing that comes to mind is the ending for the original Kingdom Hearts, which, man, if that ending didn't hook you, I don't know what did. But anyway, I feel like that was maybe really unexpected on the player's part because people playing that first game probably didn't think that the story would continue beyond that. Which, you know, I almost feel like they thought that too, right? There was no way they knew Kingdom Hearts was going to be as successful as it is, right? There was probably some part of the team that, even though they planned for the future, they probably, what do you call it? How would I put this? Even though they knew there was a chance it could continue, they probably thought that there was an equal chance that it was just going to kind of end at number 1. So to make it an unhappy ending was such a ballsy move on their part, if you ask me. Absolutely ballsy move. Barring that there was no guarantee that they were going to get a sequel. But let's carry on now. Okay, on the player's part, because people playing the first game probably didn't think that story would continue. Also in Kingdom Hearts 3, when Lucio takes off their hood at the very end. Oh my god, that is... You know, like, I hear him say this, like, here, look, I really enjoyed seeing the fans' reactions just because it was something that I'd really hoped for. Like, you can't tell me this dude doesn't have a Twitter burner account, isn't crawling around reaction videos on YouTube. Because, honestly, I'll say this, as far as fan reaction goes, the fans' reactions to Lucio taking the hood off might be my favorite moment ever. Like, seriously. I'm glad that they kind of try to play into that and feed into that. That makes me happy to hear. All right, the juicy stuff is coming, though. I know this is some of the easier, smoother stuff, but I promise you guys, the super juicy stuff, it's coming. Here we go. Actually, perfect. This is right where it starts. Right where it starts. So let's take a hydration break, because I think some people might be upset by what's coming. All right. Did you expect characters from games like Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days to become so popular? Do you feel like their stories are complete? Or can we expect more of these characters to pop up in Kingdom Hearts 4? I really didn't think, Nomura responds, I really didn't think the characters from these 2 titles would become this popular. I had thought that the players wanted to see more of characters like Sora or Riku. It was kind of unexpected that the characters from these 2 titles were so well received. As far as including them or continuing their story in Kingdom Hearts 4, the story for Kingdom Hearts 4 is focused more on Sora's disappearance. I'm not quite sure if there will be room to really explore the other characters' stories as much. But I'm aware, and the team is aware, that these characters are very popular and people want to see more of them. So, if possible, it would be great to include more of them or continue to share more of their story in future opportunities. Okay. To me, this is where things can get a little bit shaky for people. So, what I'm hearing there, guys, is that, like, especially, like, this Axel, Roxas, and Shion, like, Kingdom Hearts is Sora's story primarily, and I think a lot of characters are about to get pushed into the backseat. I think a lot of characters that we love and adore and want more of are, for better or worse, for more or less, gonna get pushed into the background. I really think Roxas gets relatively pushed into the background. I think Shion gets relatively pushed into the background, especially when you consider that Nomura's original plan wasn't to revive those characters. Nomura's original plan and story threads were to keep Roxas and Shion dead, in a sense. But he saw how much the fans loved them and wrote them into the new character threads. But I think what we can take from this is that, you know, the future of Kingdom Hearts, I think, is going to go back to its roots. I think, actually, it's going to come back home and focus more on Sora, Riku, and even Kairi. I mean, especially Kairi. If you look at from Kingdom Hearts 3 on, no secondary character's gotten more attention than Kairi. Absolutely not. And I will die on that hill. You look at Kingdom Hearts 3, Remind, Melody and Memory, no secondary character's gotten more attention than Kairi. Kairi's got more attention than Roxas, than Shion, than Axel, than Aqua, than Terra, than the list goes on and on. The only one you can maybe argue is Ventus because of Union Cross. But anyway, another conversation for another day. I think what's being said right here is that a lot of these characters from the other trios are just going to fade into the background and that we're really going to start focusing on the core of the story again. And me, I'm all for that. My dream Kingdom Hearts game is when your party is Sora, Riku, and Kairi. That is my dream Kingdom Hearts game. The details around it, flexible. But what I want the 3 of them together. If it has to be the last game of the series, let it be the last game of the series. But I would not complain if that's what Kingdom Hearts 4 turns into. Anyway, let's move on to something a little more fun. We are going to talk about Smash, but The chat's been popping off a little bit. I do want to address what some of you have had to say. I know I usually leave questions for the end, but sometimes I can't help myself. You guys say some cool shit. So let's scroll this up. Billy the Kid Lawrence says, Sora's finally going to use his key to operate a real car. Honestly, Billy, dude, Riku's Keyblade looks like a car key. I think Riku's going to have a whip. Not like a whip. I mean, he's going to have some wheels. His Keyblade looks like a freaking car key. So I think you're onto something, Billy. Iron Lion says, Nomura is the only writer today that seems able to guess fan reaction to his work. Yes and no, Iron Lion. I would agree. I think he definitely seems able to gauge what the audience is thinking. And I think he cares about his audience. I think even though he wants to stay true to his artistic vision, I think there is also a part of him that wants to do right by the fans. And that's what we love about the guy. But at the same time, he didn't think people were going to like Yozora. I think I remember him saying something like that. My man Z says, I think Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be a Destiny trio game. Again, that is my wish. That is my wish. That is my dream Kingdom Hearts game. You won't get any fight from me. Colin Donahue says, are you serious? I mean, I won't be surprised for Roxanne and Shion, but what about Axel? We need him when it comes to Subject X. And what about Ven with the Wayfinder trio when it comes to Ven's past? Absolutely, Colin Donahue. I'm not saying these characters' plot threads are completely finished or that they're going to be useless. They won't be useless. They're still going to have their significant roles to play. But I think for the most part, most of them are going to fade into the background. But you're right, when it comes to characters like Axel and Isa, or Saïx, you still have the whole Subject X thing. You know, there's still room for these characters to grow, but I feel like a lot of it is going to start decentralizing in a way. Nora did say that he wants to explore the other characters more in the future, but not in Kingdom Hearts 4, though. Yes, that's a little bit further in, but that is true, right here. So if possible, it would be great to include more of them or continue to share more of their story in future opportunities. Exactly, Z. That's kind of what we're getting at here. Is that it doesn't mean these characters are going to fade into the background forever, but it looks like for the sake of Kingdom Hearts 4, they're going to be pretty in the background with probably some scenes cut here and there. Andrew McQueen says, I'm okay with everyone taking a break, focusing on Destiny Trio, looking at you, Kyrie, has been needed. 100%. I want more, I love that everybody has a favorite trio and that, you ask someone their favorite Kingdom Hearts character, it's very spread out throughout the series. I think that's really cool. But I would love to see them bring it home and really flesh out Sora, Riku, and Kairi so that people come out of Kingdom Hearts 4 and they're like, man, I care about Sora, Riku, and Kairi way more than I did before Kingdom Hearts 4. Charlotte, the official lady of the lodge, says back and Kobe is settled. Let's hear all the juicy interview deets. We're getting into it. Cloud on his motorcycle from Advent Children, no complaints. And, that's the other thing, too, is, we're also going to be introducing new characters. When you look at Yozora and Magia and Aegis, and Sigurd, new characters are being introduced. And there's no way you're going to be able to flesh all of these characters out completely. Some characters ultimately will fade into the background, if not just for Kingdom Hearts 4, maybe even from here on out. My man Brady says, the Sea Salt and Wayfinder trios had their stories completed, so it doesn't bother me that they won't get a ton of focus. But it will make sense in universe for them to not get involved in the plot. See, that's where I'm with you, Brady, is I feel like at the very least their first arcs have been completely fleshed out, but what happens from here on out is very flexible. Cosmic Heyman, not only a sage of the lodge, ladies and gentlemen, Cosmic Heyman is a mod on YouTube. I put out a roll call for some new mods to mod some of these streams, and Cosmic volunteered. So Cosmic, dude, thank you for deciding to help out with the channel and being a mod. Everybody give it up for him. What's going on, Square Pair? And Corey, shouting out Mrs. Lodge. She's hanging out over on Twitch, but lurking in YouTube as well. So let's move on to the Smash stuff. We could talk about more of this when we get to the 1 hour question portion of the podcast, but let's move on to the Smash stuff because this is kind of fun. Another area where we saw Kingdom Hearts' popularity surge was seeing Sora in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Can you talk about your feelings on having Sora involved? Now, this is cool. Nomura replies, obviously, I was very happy that we were able to have Sora make an appearance in Smash. Most of the feedback when Sora was announced for Smash was, I can't believe Disney okayed for him to be in this game. This is where it gets great. behind the scenes, I was actually the one being very picky about his appearance in Smash Brothers. Disney was the one that was like, go ahead, this is a great opportunity. And this is what let me tell you something. I will say, I used to be pretty black-pilled on the whole Sora in Smash thing. I used to be like, oh, Disney will never allow it. But like, when you really think about it, and you follow Disney's actions, Disney doesn't care. Disney cares about one thing: money. And if Sora in Smash can make them money, of course Disney's gonna give that green light like that. Disney's gonna pull the red tape like that. No way. It's always easier to see in hindsight, and it's easier when you hear it from the horse's mouth. But no way Disney was too difficult when doing this whole Smash thing. If anything, Nomura would be the stingy one. He's got that whole thing written into his contract, how much control he has over this. Billy the Kid says, gotta bounce, but have fun with the rest of the podcast, bro. Billy, dude, thank you again for your donation, and thank you for hanging out. You are the man. Everybody say later to Billy. Billy, thanks for hanging out. But anyway, let's finish Nomura's statement here. I thought it would be tough to pull off because it might clash with the established lore in Kingdom Hearts and the Disney worlds, so it was an opportunity I had to consider very carefully. After seeing how happy everybody was in welcoming Sora to Smash, I feel like the end result was really great. And that's where I freak out. Nomura's first thought was the lore, and that's one of the reasons why I love this man so much, is he wasn't just like, let's put Sora in Smash. He thought of the lore. I mean, does this imply that Smash is canon? Right? I'm not crazy for thinking that, right? Does this imply that this is Sora's dream? That Sora traveled to Smash in a dreamscape? That this is like the chain of memories Sora that's sleeping? And this is how he's like regaining some of his memories? He's remembering his techniques? I don't know, man. I don't know. It makes sense that Nomura was thinking about the lore implications because every player thought about the lore implications. It's so true, Andrew, and that's, again, this is one of the things that excites me for the future of Kingdom Hearts. Nomura really has his pulse, has his finger on the pulse of the fan base. And Andrew McQueen's point paints into that. SquarePants says, I think he was worried everyone would think it's canon. Here's the thing, though, right? Canon is a funny word. Because somebody's dream could be canon, right? If this was simply just a dream Sora had in between, like, Chain of Memories and Kingdom Hearts 2, everybody, and I feel like that's easy to accept. It doesn't clash with anything. You know what I mean? I feel like it's compatible. Corey Soraka says, I summoned the Lady of the Lodge to YouTube. Yes, sages have that power, Corey. Sages can summon myself or the Lady of the Lodge into different chats. But that's really cool to me. I like seeing that Nomura was pleased with the reaction for Sora and Smash. I'm pleased to see that he's so stingy, you know what I mean? Like, he really cares. And I think after everything that happened with Versus 13, it's like, of course he really cares, you know? But yeah, I thought that was a cool little tidbit about Sora being in Smash and how Nomura was really the stingy one and that he was thinking of the lore and how it could clash. Because let me tell you something, he doesn't do anything by accident. There's a reason that it's technically Kingdom Hearts 1 Sora in Smash. But let's move on, talking about my boy, Xehanort. Interviewer asks, Xehanort is such a memorable villain. Now we're going into the Lost Master arc. How do you follow that up and create fresh conflict with new adversaries? So it's easy to get tripped up in Nomura's answer here. I'll tell you guys how I got a little tripped up. But there's some cool stuff to chew on. Nomura replies, as you mentioned, Xehanort is a really memorable character. We did take a lot of time to flesh out this enemy presence throughout the series. It all started in the original Kingdom Hearts, where there's Ansem, and Kingdom Hearts 2 with Xemnas. Basically, these two figures that stem from one person. I love that Nomura just like, on command, will just spit lore in these interviews, just to remind everyone how all this stuff works. Anyway, in the first game, we explored just the heart portion. In the second game, we explored the physical body. It all led up to the full physical embodiment of the character. I really like that we took this slow burn approach to build up the character. I feel the presence of the enemy character is so important for them to be a really good character. It gives the story a lot of depth and density. I feel like we pulled that off. That slow burn. I love that's his choice of words, is the slow burn, because I think we're going to get the same deal with the Master. I don't think Master's hood comes off for a long time. Anyway, moving on. Nomura says, and now we're moving on to the next saga. In the trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4, we mentioned the Lost Master arc. We're going to be delving into a new enemy figure for the continuation of the story. This new enemy has a lot to do with the masked characters that appear at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. Obviously, speaking of the foretellers. They're going to be obstacles that stand in front of Sora. Also, in Kingdom Hearts 2.8, we showed what kind of characters they are. So the enemies have already appeared within the series. We'll be reintroducing them. And obviously, there will be more new characters as well. But we really can't go into detail on those characters just yet. And again, this reinforces what we talked about in some of those previous points, in those previous paragraphs. There's a lot of new characters coming to Kingdom Hearts. And honestly, I think the best stories never stop adding new characters. Because when characters go on an adventure, and when people go on an adventure, you never stop meeting new people. That's life. So I love stories that are consistently adding new characters. But ultimately what that means, and I hate to keep reinforcing this previous point, but I feel like it's important, that some of the characters that have been around for a while will get less. But that's okay. Charlotte, becoming a sage. Charlotte, don't become a sage. That's silly. You're already a sage directly now on YouTube. Charlotte, thank you. Thank you for literally dragging and dropping that $1 out of your wallet into mine. But that is, thank you. Thank you. Andrew McQueen says, let me fight Aced. I need to throw hands after Union Cross. I would love to fight Aced. Aced is... He's not the most likable foreteller, but he's one of the most fun. But I couldn't use the emotes with Kobe. Eh? Fair enough. Fair enough. Cheers to that. No, the new... You know how the Limit Cut bosses were like the Organization 13? I feel like future Limit Cut Super Boss battles are going to be the foretellers, which I think would be awesome. Corey says, this breaks my heart mostly because I got into Kingdom Hearts by way of Final Fantasy, especially from my older brother when I was a kid. However, it's totally understandable when you think of the longevity. Yeah. I sort of see what you're saying there, Corey. But it's funny you bring up Final Fantasy. If Final Fantasy was got you into Kingdom Hearts, I think there's a future paragraph here where you're going to really like. But I really like that Nomura takes this slow burn approach with his villains, and that he's really going to be continuing that approach. I hope that's not just for the Master. I hope that's for Lucio and the Foretellers as well. Because I think the Master of Masters, Lucio and the Foretellers, can be infinitely more interesting than the organization and can be infinitely more fun than the organization. Especially when you consider a lot of those organization characters are still sticking around, just in different ways. Now this, I'm sorry, I get a little bit triggered, but we'll get into that. Do you feel it's important to keep Sora as the main protagonist, or do you ever see the series moving beyond him? As far as spin-offs go, we've had main characters that were not Sora, but in terms of the mainline series, I think Sora is actually the only real candidate for the main character. Thank you. I think if Sora is no longer the main character, then I would also feel like that would indicate the end to the numbered titles. He's that important to the series. All right, so everybody, let's flash back in like 40 years when Nomura has left this world and Disney's completely devoured this property. Let's remember this paragraph. But anyway, with that said, I will say, I'm sorry again. I know I keep saying sorry. But like when the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer dropped, there were some takes that I saw from fellow creators that made me want to put my head through a wall. I mean it. It made me want to put my head through a wall. I'm not going to name names. I don't do that. It's not the kind of channel I am. I just give you my opinion on shit. So I'm going to give you my opinion on this. I heard a number of people who had this opinion that Kingdom Hearts could use a soft reboot. That maybe Sora's story was told, and it's time to let a new character take the reins. Anybody, and look, you're allowed to feel how you want to feel. I know exactly who you're talking about. LOL. Hey, OJ, you're a sage, baby. You're in the know. But it's like, I saw these takes of like, oh, we needed a new main character. It should have been a soft reboot. Sora's story is done. To me, that's just like, that just signals that they have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know. Like, this series so clearly hinges on Sora. The whole lore so clearly hinges on Sora. He's the backbone of this series, man. It's one of the reasons I love Kingdom Hearts 3 so much, is because it really dives into him and his inner psychology and his flaws and his insecurities. It's him. The story is about him. That's not going to change. For example, I'm watching Naruto. If Naruto is no longer about Naruto, then it's not Naruto anymore, right? If Dragon Ball Z wasn't about Goku, then it's not Goku anymore. Same idea, you know? Anyway, who said that? We don't name names. I'm not a beef tuber. I'm not in it for the beef. Okay? I just happen to think an anonymous opinion is shitty. But moving on. What's up, Landy Lodge? How are you? I'm doing good, D-Tench. Couch Potato says that's nuts. Because it is. I think Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be a sort of soft reboot regardless story-wise. It's a soft reboot in the sense that it's a new saga. It's a new saga, it's a new story, it's a new arc. Sora overcame his flaws and insecurities from the first arc, and now we're in this second arc where he's got to learn a new lesson. Respect Sora is way too important. This is a hero's journey, and we see it through the lens of Sora. Exactly, it's Sora's story. He's the main character, and honestly, as much as I love the supporting cast, I want to see more from all of them. Time given to Sora is never wasted. Imagine if 3 ended with Sora disappearing and he never came back and we never saw him again. Sora is literally the Sky 1 destiny everyone is under. Yeah. Look, it's very clear Sora is much more than just a dude, right? I know Xehanort would taunt him as the dull, ordinary boy, and he wasn't the Keyblade's chosen one. But there's clearly something very special about Sora. There's something ethereal about him. It's time to beef, Landy. The Lodge needs to go to war. I really did want a spin-off game with the other characters, though. And I think you get that. Like, here, look right here. Where is it? So here we go, right? So, let's start. But I'm aware, and the team is aware, that these characters are very popular and people want to see more of them. So, if possible, it would be great to include more of them or continue to share more of their story in future opportunities. I think they plan to flesh out some of these side characters more, but I think right now their focus is Sora and perhaps even more the Destiny trio. Let's see. Kingdom Hearts only makes sense to people who pay attention to the dialogue and text, and even the subtext, Andrew. But I agree with you 100%. I don't know. It's one thing to want spin-off games with new characters. It's one thing to want games like Union Cross or Missing Link where Sora's not quite there or isn't even born yet. It's another thing to ask Kingdom Hearts to give you a new main character. I don't think it works that way. Sora is Kingdom Hearts. I just know. Andrew McQueen, you could very well be right. I think the reason people want a soft reboot is because while I like Kingdom Hearts, the plot can be convoluted. Nobody argues that. If you don't pay attention closely or play every game, the characters don't need a reboot. Corey, that's where I'm with you. Is like you kind of need an entry point where it's like, hey, you could pick it up from here and it'll all make sense. I'm with you. Brady! Dude, you're a sage of the lodge. You don't need to be throwing super chats. He says the best parts of Kingdom Hearts 3 are when the plot goes into Sora's head and insecurities. That's the best parts of all the numbered titles. Brady, I couldn't agree with you more. I think the gameplay segment in Kingdom Hearts that doesn't get talked about enough and constantly gets downplayed is the whole Final World segment. The Final World segment is so beautiful. And it's the very idea that Sora has to rebuild himself from the ground up, right? Sora kind of lost his optimism. He lost his charm. He lost that positive attitude. He gave up in the Keyblade Graveyard. But he had to piece himself back together in the Final World. And if you look at all the Final World representations of Sora, they're all optimistic. They're all cheerful. That cheerful optimism he lost, he's rebuilding it in the Final World. It's stuff like that to me, man, where it's like gameplay, story, lore, and psychology all blend into this one freaking gameplay segment, and so awesome. But that's my take on that. Brady, thank you so much for that super chat. Hey, Zdanowitz999 on Twitch says, I was very glad about Nomura's comments. Sora, Riku, and Kairi have been sidelined for a long time. It always bothered me. Yeah, you know, the series got so big and the story got so big, all these characters got involved. I kind of like this coming home idea that we're gonna reel it back in. And it's funny, Zdanowitz, dude. I went to college with a guy whose last name was Zdanowitz. He was a really good dude. I think about him from time to time. My man Cosmic says, time given to Sora is never wasted. Damn good quote. I wonder what is special lore-wise about Sora. I'm excited to see him grow up. I've been growing up with him now. I'm 22. Dude, yeah, look, I've been growing up with Sora my whole life too, man. I since I was like 10, I think. 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that range. Yeah, he's the main character, and he may not be my favorite character, but he's top 3, and I think the story moves through him. The better character Sora is, the better story you're going to tell by default. 100%. I think Sora is 17, if not late 16. I believe he's 17. I love the part of Dream Drop Distance ending where Ansem the Wise explains why Sora is special, his connections, and how he had his childhood wonder still. Yes, like the whole, like, Sora has a heart like that, uncorrupted, willing to see the good before the bad. Man, just got chills. Just got chills. You need to do a video on how amazing the final world was. Everyone needs to know. Yeah, it's in the docket, dude. I've got 1.5 million crackhead Kingdom Hearts frickin' videos to do, but that's one of them. Sora sidelined how? He sidelined everyone in Kingdom Hearts 3, including Riku and Kairi. Yeah, 100%. I think we're speaking more pre-Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Because if you look at Dream Drop Distance, that was really Riku's game. All the spin-offs post-Kingdom Hearts 2 didn't really have much to do with Sora. I mean, you had Data Sora with Coded, but even still, that was a little bit on the back. About to put in a dinner order while listening to the podcast. What is your go-to to takeout order, Landy or the Sages? My go-to for takeout? Charlotte and I have this amazing Irish pub near us, the Celtic Ray, and they've got amazing curry. They've got a new special every week with curry. They've got amazing pasties and just Celtic Ray, small little Irish pub near us with amazing food. But getting back into Kingdom Hearts here. This really pleases me to see Nomura have this perspective because I always speculated this is how he thought, and it's just reassuring to see that. Now here we go. Who was it? Who was just concerned a little bit about Final Fantasy? Was it you, Corey? Was it you, Corey Sarakis? I think it was you. Yes. Okay, you're gonna enjoy this. You're gonna enjoy this section right here. We saw Donald and Goofy in the Kingdom Hearts 4 reveal, but one question a lot of fans have is how much will Disney still be integral to the series? This is interesting, right? And this is, look, a lot of people have very volatile opinions about this. So wherever you land, wherever your opinion is about this, I respect it. But I come from a certain part of the aisle. I'm just going to be honest with that. Let's get on to it. With regards to Kingdom Hearts 4, players are definitely going to see a few Disney worlds in there. A few Disney worlds? Look, that I don't know if Nomura did this, if this is a translation. I don't know if this was him speaking straight English. I don't know. But a few Disney worlds? I don't know if there's any game in the series that qualifies as a few, right? Kingdom Hearts 3 had, 7, 8 Disney worlds, if you include Winnie the Pooh? Like, that's not a few. That's many. That's several. That's a lot. Right? You guys know what I mean? Like, a few? To me, that means 3, 4, at most 5. Now, look, I am not don't get me wrong, I despise the Disney Corporation, but I'm not anti-Disney properties or anti-Disney stories. I love Donald and Goofy. Mickey is actually one of my favorite Kingdom Hearts characters. Jensen is great. Merlin, Fairy Godmother. Even going to the Disney Worlds is a part of the series I thoroughly enjoy. But I would like to see the Disney World portion of the game dialed back to make room for more stuff, whether it be original worlds, Square Worlds, or whatever it may be. It could even be other Disney stuff. I don't know, but this idea of hopping from Disney World to Disney World to Disney World to Disney World, that's a part of the series that I think could actually be dialed back. And when Nomura says a few Disney worlds, that tells me we're going to several other worlds that aren't just Disney. And Disney has to share the pie a little more than they used to. But let me actually read more than one sentence, and then we'll discuss it as a whole. I just want to mention that they don't need to worry so much about this aspect of the game. It might feel slightly different from previous Kingdom Hearts titles, but once players have had a chance to play the game, I'm sure they'll be relieved to find that it's definitely a Kingdom Hearts title. It's the game series that they've come to know and love. As far as the graphic qualities, since with each new title the specs have been really increasing and there's so much more we could do in terms of graphics, it kind of limits the number of worlds that we can create in a sense. Yes! Yes! Fewer, more dense worlds! That's what I'm talking about. At this time, we're considering how to approach that, but there will be Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts 4. Okay, so here's what I'm hearing. We're still going to the Disney worlds. That's not changing. But we're going from several Disney worlds to a few. I think instead of going to 7, maybe we go to 3. And then maybe there's 3 original worlds or 3 square worlds that are more fleshed out, more dense. You know what I mean? Hydration break. My man Eugenio says, bet you $1,000 that Donald and Goofy are not going to be party members in Kingdom Hearts 4. Sora is going to be someplace else, hence the party member will also change. I think you're right. I don't think Donald and Goofy are going to be party members. I think you might have a gameplay segment of Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. I think that's something you might get. But I actually agree with you. I don't think Donald and Goofy are going to be party members. I think Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be about reuniting Sora with his world, and that includes Donald and Goofy. Square Pair, this part of the article led to so many hot takes. I know what it's like. At the end of the day, like, words can be tricky, and Nomura is just speaking off the cuff, so none of us really know. Meaning no Disney until the next game. I feel that's what's going to happen. Oh, I don't know about no Disney until next game. I don't know about that. He says right here, you're going to see a few Disney worlds in there, you know? If there are less, what if they're huge and more varied, or a translation screw up? I'm inclined to believe it's the first one. Because, like, if you look at Kingdom Hearts 3, it looks quite... There were many different approaches to the Disney worlds, right? Like, Pirates, Olympus, Toy Box, and Tangled all got way more attention than the other 3. Arendelle, Big Hero 6, Winnie the Pooh, and there's a 4th one, but I'm losing it off the top. Monsters, Inc., which was just like a hallway of bag. It was very... Monsters, Inc. world was very Kingdom Hearts 2-esque. It was like a hallway with a bunch of enemies, which is great. I think sometimes that's when the series is at its strongest. But I think you're going to see more Pirates of the Caribbean style worlds, where it really pays to explore those worlds and go to the different parts of the map and to build up. Like, it was cool building up your boat in the Pirates world and you could level it up with new weapons and stuff. That was cool. And like, if you were forging key plates, all the best stuff was found in the Pirates world. I'd love it if that's what Disney worlds look like now. Give me 3 Disney worlds with the amount of exploration and depth as the Pirates of the Caribbean world in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm a happy little clam. Eugenio says, then that means Verum Rex is indeed a Kingdom Hearts 4 spoiler relating to Sora and possible new members. Yeah, you know, I think that's implied. I really think Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be about introducing new stuff. New gameplay mechanics, new characters, new stories. A lot of it is going to be new. You're not going to get a lot of the Birth by Sleep trio. You're not going to get a lot of the Sea Salt trio. You're going to get a lot of Sora, Riku, Kairi, and new. Donald and Goofy too. Corey says, I think we get Kingdom Hearts 4 with Sora as the main character, and then we get Kingdom Hearts 4 Integrate-based DLC a few months later with Donald and Goofy showing what they're up to in that time frame. Something like that is possible, but I also think it's possible you might play as them in the prologue. Yeah, we usually have a few original worlds, not the other way around. Yeah, Andrew, and I think you might be starting to see the tide shift. A leak related to NVIDIA said that Wonderland is one of those worlds? Dude, Eugenio, dude, I've been dying for them to bring Wonderland back. I cannot tell you, this is something I feel so strongly about. First of all, Wonderland is the first world you visit in Kingdom Hearts. Now, why is that, you might ask? Because Kingdom Hearts is a psychedelic fairy tale just like Alice in Wonderland. When you really think about it, there is a lot of overlap between those two series. And with the CGI capabilities we have now, the kind of visuals you could do in Alice in Wonderland would be out of control. So I'm all for that leak being true. Couch Potato says, I like Disney characters in original worlds. Same. I love seeing Scrooge McDuck walking around Hollow Bastion. That's my shit. Anyway, like if Mary Poppins popped up in Quadratum, it'd be great. And that's the kind of Disney representation I want to see more of. ZZ, my man, says that's good because they're going to be focusing on quality over quantity. Yes, Z, 100%. Less is more. Less is more. I think Nomura mentioned the White Queen from the Tim Burton Alice in an interview. Interesting. Eugenio says everything is concrete about Verum Rex, which came actually 1 year later. Okay. If that forest was Endor, there could be a lot of environments despite only being one world too. That's the other thing is, man, there's so much that they could do with this being the world of fiction. Like, maybe the world of fiction is broken and all these worlds actually are blending together. And that if you, like, leave the city of Quadratum, maybe you get to, like, a slice of Endor. I don't know. Please, but no more frozen world. Eugenio, Arendelle is coming back. Okay? Elsa and Anna are two princesses of heart. Arendelle is coming back. You just have to pray that they do a better job. It can be done. It can be done. Charlotte, Lady of the Lodge, says, I gotta say, even as a non-Disney fan, the thought of not chilling with Donald and Goofy does make me a tad sad. Yes, and I think that could be one of the driving emotional factors of Kingdom Hearts 4 is you're going to want to reunite with them. You're going to want to have that reunion and get back with them. Because, man, and that's one of the things that make Kingdom Hearts 3 great is it's a story of Sora, Donald, and Goofy. Worst world than KH3 for sure. Yeah, no argument there. My man Lands on YouTube says, I didn't get a notification. Well, listen, man, it's clear, dude. The algorithms don't like your boy. The algorithms have never liked me. They never will like me. I'm just kidding. Honestly. Like, the algorithm, it could... I'm sure people get treated a lot worse by the algorithm than I do. But, Lands, dude, thanks for dropping in. Check out Lands of Masters. I've gone and dropped his link in the chat, everybody. He's streaming some Kingdom Hearts right now. You'll all love it. But yeah, no, Donald and Goofy are definitely a necessity for Kingdom Hearts, and I can't wait for them to be reunited. Charlotte adds, but as long as you replace it with Final Fantasy or other Square properties or anything else cool, that'd be enough for me to get over it. I guess that's true. Honestly, if Sora traveled with a Moogle and a Chocobo instead of Donald and Goofy, I'd shit my pants and laugh about it. Anyway, Couch Potato says, I want them to do weird-ass movies and not popular ones. Yeah, I want them to kind of gravitate towards the more artistically avant-garde stuff, right? Because, like, Kingdom Hearts is pretty avant-garde, right? So is Alice in Wonderland. That's what would make it such a perfect fit. I'm curious, are we going to see Azora in the next trailer if one happens? I think it's very possible. Andrew McQueen says, let me forge more weapons than just a Goofy item. Yes. 100%. My man, Ill-Fitting Trousers, who was just on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please check out my man, Ill-Fitting Trousers. He is a good friend of the Lodge and a good friend of mine. Dude, how are you? Oh, man. Let's keep this rolling. We got the homies. We got the sickos. Everybody's showing up. I think worlds that have to deal with death or worlds that could be potential doors to Quadratum will also be there, like Toy Box. Toy Box is coming back. Toy Box is coming back, too. I really like the idea of fewer worlds, but with more depth. Me, too. I think that would make everybody happy. My boy Yoder says, what kind of Wonderland will it be? I would love for Sora to somehow visit the world of Alice Madness Returns. I'm all for it, because I think the artistic direction of Alice in Wonderland would be incredible with the modern CGI. And yeah, Queen of Nobodies, I would love to go back to Traverse Town. Traverse Town in a lot of ways is where we belong. My boy Corey Saraka says, I think the intermixing of Disney and non-Disney product from the original Kingdom Hearts games, a la Traverse Town, is what people fell in love with Disney, not necessarily their worlds. Corey, you couldn't be more correct. I really think the best way to introduce Disney into Kingdom Hearts is not to force us into these Disney worlds, but to have Disney blend with the Kingdom Hearts worlds, to have it blend with the Square worlds, and vice versa. Have Square blend with the Disney. I think it's that blend, like you're saying, that we really like. Arendelle, Star Wars, Moana, Coco, Jungle Book, and definitely Toy Box. Totally Goofy are my parents, yeah. Wonderland, Traverse Town, and Holly Bastion are still the most well-designed worlds in Kingdom Hearts to this day. I mean, I'll say this. Some of the best world designs are still from Kingdom Hearts 1. Because they were really trying to make it more of a platformer back then. Do you think Sterlitzia will fight with you as a party member until we find Donald and Goofy? I gotta think about that. Maybe. That's a bullshit answer. I'm gonna say yes. I don't think she'll be there the whole time. I don't think she leaves Quadratum with us. I think she's our Quadratum party member. You know what I mean? Because it's clear we're going to leave Quadratum in Kingdom Hearts 4 and go to other worlds, but I think she's our Quadratum party member. When they tell Sarah to come back home nice and safe. I know, too much. What you said about Alice in Wonderland is why I want the old 80s return to Oz since Disney did it. Yeah, same idea. I wonder if Donald and Goofy are going to finally get new outfits as Queen of Nobodies. Yeah, they better. My boy Merrick says there are no coincidences in the Kingdom Hearts series. How come Darkness said silence and in Kingdom Hearts 2 Demyx said silence? The way both said silence was the same. We all expected Demyx to be light. Masters, what if he is darkness? Demyx is still a mystery, and I think Demyx can be a really fun mystery. I don't think he's the Master of Masters, but if he's one of the vessels of darkness, I think that could be fun. Yeah, I really doubt she'll leave that world. Same. I don't see it. Someone tells me Nomura's in the black box. Can you imagine? That's some crackhead shit. But it would be fun. All right, but yeah, let's move on from that. As you see, it looks like there will be fewer Disney worlds, and there'll be fewer worlds in general, just more dense. Here we go. When did you start working on ideas and planning for Kingdom Hearts 4? And what things did you know you wanted to incorporate early on? This is a fun answer. Whenever I'm working on a title, I'm already thinking about what I want to incorporate in the next one. One second. Yeah, okay. For example, with Kingdom Hearts 4, I had already started thinking about what I wanted to do when making Kingdom Hearts 3. This is more in terms of characters, worlds, or gameplay systems I want to implement. Every time it's the same process. I'm constantly thinking of what to improve or change in the next title. For example, in Kingdom Hearts 2, we introduced the reaction command system. I felt like fans didn't take to it well, and it wasn't that popular. So in Kingdom Hearts 3, we took that system out, but then fans said, "Why'd you take it out?" So now we're considering bringing it back in Kingdom Hearts 4. The challenge is with the action gameplay. It's hard to execute the satisfying action moves when the footing system isn't very secure. That's something we're working on and hoping we can realize as an aspect of gameplay in Kingdom Hearts 4. So that's pretty cool. It's some run-of-the-mill stuff. There's nothing too crazy to pick out of that. But I will say, and this is something people would never believe, but in the old days, Kingdom Hearts 2 got shat on when it first came out. At least on the game forums I used to hang out on when I was a kid, like game FAQs and all that. People were hating on Kingdom Hearts 2. And he's right. People were shitting on the reaction command system. Like, the reaction command system used to be a big complaint for a lot of people. And now it's one of the most popular things that people want back. Wait, people didn't like reaction commands? Here's the thing, Andrew. Really angry people on internet forums didn't like reaction commands. I always did. And yeah, if you guys hear my dog, he sees a bunny outside. He does that. Just say hi to him. If you're a subscriber on Twitch or YouTube, you have his emote. But yeah, I think Nomura spends too much time on the internet. I think he needs to stop giving a shit what the internet forums think. Okay? All of us have never developed a video game in our life. So while fan feedback is important, don't listen to us too much when it comes to gameplay mechanics, please. Anyway, let's move on. Will we be spending a lot of time in Quadratum? Does having a more realistic setting give you bigger opportunities to try new things with the gameplay? This is where I get excited. Okay. I think it will be a pretty good amount of time since it is set at the initial base within the game. You spend time there and then go to different worlds and then go back there. Because the graphics are more realistic this time around, I feel like there's more of a realistic daily life aspect to Sora's life. Woo-hoo-hoo! You can see him go in and out of his room and spend time there. I feel like players will get to see more of the day-to-day routines he goes through. Is Kingdom Hearts adding a life sim mechanic? And am I crazy for thinking that's a little bit of what's being teased here? Anyway, As far as worlds go, in the past we featured a lot of Disney worlds, and among those, the most realistic one was Pirates of the Caribbean. This time around, we're spending some time in the actual real world. This was a challenge we had for ourselves, just to see how realistic we can make this, and that's something we're working on right now. For now, we can't really dive into any further details. Woohoo! Andrew McQueen says, "Oh my God, Nomura is going to make us pay rent." Is it bad that I can't wait to pay rent in the Kingdom Hearts world? I welcome all the life sim stuff. Make me pay rent, make me do chores, make Sora get a job, make me do life sim stuff, and make some of that life sim stuff like a post game, right? Like imagine you could like by doing certain side quests or by saving up enough money, you could buy cool shit for Sora's room, right? And now imagine in the post game, by doing a lot of the like post game side quests and a lot of the treasure hunting, you now unlock like the coolest stuff for Sora's room. Maybe you get a pinball machine, and like that's how you get the mini games in Kingdom Hearts 4. Is you get like pinball machines and arcade machines for Sora's fucking apartment room. You know? I don't know. That kind of stuff excites me. I like the idea. Because look, here's the thing, guys. Kingdom Hearts is always experimenting with new gameplay. You know what I mean? Like, they've always got mini games baked into their games. They've always got different gameplay segments, like sledding mini games and stuff. Maybe not so many of these awkward mini games randomly inserted into the middle of the game. Maybe just some life sim stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you want to mix up the gameplay loop, give us some life sim stuff to do. I think that's the shit. I think that's the good stuff. Oh boy. Let's see, how much more of this do we have left? Oh, we're coming up on the end, then we could do some questions. Okay, fans have been very concerned about the lack of Final Fantasy characters in newer entries. Do you still want to dial down on the amount of them in the series, or is Kingdom Hearts 4 a chance to bring in more cameos? Here we go. Here we go. I understand there weren't that many... Nomura says, I understand there weren't that many Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 3. One thing I want to clear up is that a lot of fans are saying that Kingdom Hearts is this collaboration between Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters. But I really feel like that's not the basic concept of Kingdom Hearts. That's not exactly what Kingdom Hearts is. When we released the first title, we only had a few original Kingdom Hearts characters. When they were interacting with really well-known, beloved Disney characters, I felt nobody really knew these new characters, so it was harder for them to stand their ground just yet. And so, we had a lot of Final Fantasy characters involved to lend a hand for everyone to get to know these original Kingdom Hearts characters better. Now, there are so many original characters from Kingdom Hearts that are so well loved, and people want to see more of those characters. With Kingdom Hearts 3, since we did have so many original Kingdom Hearts characters, it was hard to find room for including more Final Fantasy characters. We're trying to find a good balance for that. I know that some fans were concerned about that and they weren't too happy and wanted to see more Final Fantasy characters. That's something we definitely are thinking about. But just with the sheer number of original characters that we have now, it's hard to say what the exact balance is going to be and how it will play out in Kingdom Hearts 4. We can't really give you a firm reply on this just yet. Okay. So, look. I'm one of those people, I want more Final Fantasy characters. I do. But, for example, if I could choose to have a pre-rendered cutscene of Cloud versus Sephiroth, or I could have a pre-rendered cutscene of Aqua training with Kairi, I'm going to take Aqua and Kairi. So I understand that concern and that aspect where Square's like, hey, look, we have all these original characters that as far as Square's slice of the pie is concerned, we really need to give as much to the original cast as we can. Now, look, I don't see this as you're never going to get Final Fantasy characters again. That's not what's going to happen. You're going to get Final Fantasy characters. You are. But they're not going to be that important. They're not going to be that important. And that's okay. I love Final Fantasy so much. I'm playing 3 fucking Final Fantasy games right now. And that's the beauty of Final Fantasy. It has its own game series. Right? It has its own game series. If I want Cloud and Sephiroth, I could go play 7. Or 7 Remake. Or Crisis Core. Right? Now, I want there to be Final Fantasy characters in the future, but I don't mind if they're in the background. I don't mind if they're in slim slices. Like, honestly, the Radiant Garden Gang being in the Remind DLC, that's like the perfect amount of Final Fantasy that I need. I don't need much. Just let me say hello to them once in a while, or give me a cutscene or a fight. Like, honestly, I still want Final Fantasy. I'm hoping to see some more. But I don't want it to take anything away from the Kingdom Hearts slice of the pie. That's all. That's all. That's all I'll say on that. Let's wrap this up with the final question, eh? Then we'll do some questions. Do you want to give one final tease for fans about what they can look forward to? With regards to Kingdom Hearts 4, unfortunately, there is not any new information I'm going to be able to share for a while. You know, he always fucking says that shit. He's always like, oh, it's the last you're going to hear from me. Oh, it's going to be kind of slow season for Kingdom Hearts. And, like, it hasn't stopped, guys. Like, since Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, it legitimately has not stopped. Every 6 months, there's something new to be excited about. A new game or something coming out. It has not stopped. But anyway. But if people could really dive into this interview that we had today, I did reveal a little bit of new information and more details during this conversation. Like, he knows he's planting these seeds. And there's going to be stuff in this interview that laid something out to us that's happening in the future. Anyway, so it'll be great if people could consider that and find some new information that way. I also wanted to mention Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. I'm signing up for this beta, dude. I'm signing up for this beta. We're looking towards launching the closed beta within the year. I know that not everybody is really into smartphone games, so some fans may not be really excited for it, but we are making it so that it's something that anyone can jump right into. Compared to our past mobile releases, it's a lot closer to the series and is also connected in many ways to Kingdom Hearts 4. Missing Link theory. The easiest way to get more new information and hints about Kingdom Hearts 4 would be to first play Missing Link. Let's go. There will also be some more mysteries not related to Kingdom Hearts 4 specifically, but just throughout the series in it. Also, some figures that appear in Missing Link are tied to Kingdom Hearts 4. That's all I can really say for now. I'll say this. One of the things I love about Nomura, he really has his pulse on the fans. He really has his pulse on all of this. I commend him for that. I'm excited for Missing Link. I hope the beta goes through in the fall. I hope we can get our hands on this game soon. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think this interview was a lot of fun. I think he did a lot. I think this was really cool to go through all of this. I definitely want to hear from you guys. I want to know what your takes are on all of this. So feel free to drop that in the chat. I'm going to go and refill my water because I'm running out of breath and I'm a little dehydrated now. So let's talk about this. Drop your questions, your comments in the chat. We'll talk about it. But in the meantime, I'm going to go fill up my water and I'll be right back. Okay. So let's get into this. Let's get into this a little bit. Okay, can everybody hear me? I switched up the scene. I want to make sure I can still be heard before continuing this too much. Let's tilt this baby over here. There we go. Okay. All right. Just let me know that you guys can hear me. I know we had a little issue switching it up, but we'll be good. Okay, let's see what we got. Andrew McQueen asks, where and how do you sign up for the beta? I don't think they've announced that yet. I'm interested in that myself. Honestly, once I know something, you guys will know something. Queen of Nobody says, I don't care. Missing Link is bad. Let me enjoy. I don't care if Missing Link is bad. Let me enjoy Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. I think it's going to be good. Like, it literally looked like Kingdom Hearts 3. The gameplay looked like Kingdom Hearts 3. I really think it's going to be great. I think the cutscenes, at the least, are going to be great, too. Eugenio says, I don't think Master of Masters is going to be the antagonist. Every game that Nomura has worked on always has a villain that we do not meet until late game. That means that Master of Masters is just a misdirection to get us hyped. Whoa. Woo! Yeah, that's look what Kobe thinks of that. I love that, Eugenio. You know, because like it's very obvious the Master of Masters is the villain right now. But if they could turn that on its head, and like if he really wasn't the villain all along, and they could really pull it off, that'd be awesome. What do y'all think the next FF cameo is going to be? I think if anything, you get Cloud and Sephiroth back, and you get like a conclusion to their fight. Eugenio says, just look at Kingdom Hearts 1. When Ansem popped out, everyone was like, what the fuck? That is true. That is true. Nailed it. Square Pair says, he already said the foretellers are antagonists, and I think he's including Master of Masters in that, but I don't know. Yeah, but, you know, for all we know, the Master of Masters could be answering to somebody, right? Like, for instance, I don't know if we have any comic book fans, but in the Thanos arc that the MCU is based on, it wasn't actually Thanos calling the shots. You actually found out, like, in quote-unquote late game, that Thanos was answering to Mistress Death. So even though he was like this all-powerful being who was kind of seen as like this top of the hierarchy type of it, like cosmic god, the truth is he was answering to someone else the whole time. It'd be interesting if all this time Master of Masters was actually answering to somebody else. Andrew McQueen says, I want to say Lightning, but I love her. Yeah, I think it's possible you might one day get Lightning, but I think her potential for that, her time has passed. Was Master Xehanort not introduced several games before his first game as a villain? Okay, good to see you guys can still hear. Z says, I love that Nomura is making clear in this interview that he prioritizes the original cast more than anything else, with comments like few Disney Worlds and less Final Fantasy. Yes, at the end of the day, if Disney and Final Fantasy get dialed back to feed into the original cast and the original characters, that is a net victory. Okay? If I want Disney, I'll boot up Disney+. If I want Final Fantasy, I'll pull up the frickin' 15 Final Fantasy games that I own. Give me as much Kingdom Hearts on that pie as you can. Eugenio says, yeah, maybe, but they are just side hustling the real villain. Yeah, this is going into that conversation. Yeah, they could be pulling the wool over your eyes. Don't underestimate their ability to do that. Hannah Hart says, I cannot wait for Kingdom Hearts 4 to come out so I can play it. And I also can't wait to see what Riku will look like realistic, for I have a little crush on him. And I would like to see Aqua training Kairi. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing everybody's Quadratum design. I think the realism sort of art direction is really cool. So I'm very interested in seeing what that design is going to look like when it's all said and done. But yeah, and Aqua training Kairi, like, that's a must. Like, I don't need it to be long. Give me a 5-10 minute cutscene of Aqua training Kairi. Or make it that Aqua is just going to be her sensei until she passes the Mark of Mastery. I don't know. I'm with you, Hannah. I just want to see some of it. Andrew McQueen says, Missing Link looks like Kingdom Hearts 3 and Union Cross had a baby, and honestly, that's not awful. That's not awful at all. I think that's a great direction for the smartphone games. Because like they want to make these smartphone games. I get it. Smartphone gaming is huge in Japan. And that at the end of the day, that's their main demographic. And that's if they're going to cater to anyone, it should be them. But if they can make these smartphone games more like console games, that's a net victory. Eugenio says, I bet my mom's purse that Master of Masters this is just something to get us confused, and the real villain is going to be a new guy, and is going to leave everybody like, what the fuck? See, I think that's possible. I think it's also equally possible that somebody like Lu Shu becomes the new villain, right? That he goes even further than the Master would. What about Lu Shu, says Queen of Nobodies? Exactly, that's kind of where I'm with you, Queen of Nobodies. Like, I could see Lu Shu like going further than the Master, you know? Gregory says, for a new Final Fantasy character, I'm shocked Lightning from FF13 hasn't been in Kingdom Hearts yet. I think there were originally plans to have her in Kingdom Hearts. I might look that up later. But I think there were plans to have her at one point. But again, I think her time has passed. Was Thanos answering to Death, or was he doing it to court Mistress Death? I always heard the latter. It's the latter. It's the latter, Corey. It's more that he was courting Mistress Death. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he did successfully end up courting her and then answered her calls. But yeah, it was more that he was courting Mistress Death, not necessarily like she was the puppet master the whole time, but that he was more doing it to please her, and that upon pleasing her, was able to collaborate with her. Lanny just sniped Lightning. It'd be cool to see her in Quadratum, though. I would love it. I think Lightning's a great character. Final Fantasy 13 is I'm trying to remember. Damn. It was one of the first Final Fantasy games I felt like I really understood because I played it when I was older. Yeah, he did it because he wanted Death's approval because he loved her, basically. Exactly. Like, imagine the Master of Masters was pulling that kind of move. Imagine Master of Masters was trying to court a Mistress Death. Nora's comments on Final Fantasy characters not being a part of Kingdom Hearts identity made me feel so vindicated. Yeah. And I see that because, you know, you've been an advocate for that, Z. I've seen you be on that for a long time. I definitely think Disney has always been more integral to the identity of Kingdom Hearts than Final Fantasy has. But I think his overall point is like, hey, they were here because this series needed boosting, right? But now Kingdom Hearts can stand on its own 2 feet. And it doesn't need... Sora no longer needs to stand on Squall's shoulders. You know? Gloria says, I think we'll see Noctis in Kingdom Hearts 4 and other Final Fantasy 15 characters possibly. Maybe. I don't know about 15. 15 is like... It's very 50-50 for me, because we all know what's going on with the Versus 13 debacle. And I feel like having Yozora and Noctis in the game would either be a total mindfuck, or would actually be very on point. Depends what they do. Gregory W. says, I want more Maleficent, though. I see her more as a Kingdom Hearts character than Disney. I'm at that point, too, Greg. That's the thing. I've seen way more of Maleficent in Kingdom Hearts than anything else. I think... If you look at Kingdom Hearts 3's ending, I think Maleficent's going to be very integral to the future. I really love Riku. I never got mad at Riku. I knew Riku was going to be my favorite. Yeah, everybody loves Riku. He's probably my favorite, too. Andrew McQueen says, I know FF13 is long past, but with Sora going all crystal, she pops in my mind. Yeah, they did the whole Fabula Nova Crystallis, which is canon with FF13. It's possible. It's possible. Hannah Hart says, I'm trying to write a Kingdom Hearts and Sailor Moon crossover story, but I have a hard time staying with one idea. Yeah, I mean, look, Kingdom Hearts at the end of the day is all about crossovers, and it makes you happy, it makes you happy. I vividly remember playing Final Fantasy 13 non-stop to Kanye's West, my beautiful dark twisted fantasy. Dude, you just took me back. Wow. Wow, you just took me back. Summer in between college years for me. Wow. Square Press says, I love Final Fantasy, but people act like it needs to be more overshadowing in Kingdom Hearts, which is ridiculous. Yeah, you know, look, it's one thing if you're like me and I'm like, hey, you know, I mean, I wouldn't mind if you took out Arendelle and put it in Midgar. But at the end of the day, it's not like a make or break for me. I'm just a guy, I love Final Fantasy. So, of course, I would love to see more Final Fantasy stuff. But last time I checked, I put Kingdom Hearts into the CD drive. The more Kingdom Hearts I get, the better at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I mean, look, I understand why that upsets people, but like what I'm getting from this interview is that Kingdom Hearts is growing up, right? It stood on the shoulders of Disney and it stood on the shoulders of Final Fantasy. And now we've reached a point where we used to just have Sora, Riku, Kairi, and Nomura was like, we don't have enough to make people care about these characters. They're not going to care about them. And now we've reached the point where Nomura's like, damn it, they care about too many characters. And that's a good problem to have, but that's where we're at. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't sit here and be like, I want more of Roxas, Shion, and Axel, but I also want more Final Fantasy influence, but I also want, like Yozora to be a big part of Kingdom Hearts 4. Like, you can't just keep stacking things into the game without it taking away from other portions. So what I'm getting from this interview is that they're prioritizing the core of Kingdom Hearts. I think that's good news. Andrew McQueen says, I was surprised that there was no FF in Kingdom Hearts 3, but it didn't break the game for me. Dude, I didn't even, note, it's not that I didn't notice, but, I don't know about you, when I was in the Keyblade Graveyard, I didn't care. There was so much cool shit going on, and so many years of payoff taking place. I wasn't thinking about Cloud. I was thinking about Sora. But that's just me. I am really into both Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. Me too. Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, and Legend of Zelda are my 3 favorite gaming series of all time. All time. Andrew McQueen says, so just light cameos are good from now on. Yeah, that would be good with me. That would be good. Hannah Hart says, I could see Queen of Nobody's Knife fighting over Riku. Yeah, and I'm sure many others will throw their hat in that ring. Queen of Nobody says, some people say Kingdom Hearts is a children's game. It is not. If you are a Disney fan, you will play Kingdom Hearts. I don't like it when other people say that. Yeah, I mean, look. Kingdom Hearts isn't a kid's game, but Kingdom Hearts is for everybody. It's like Star Wars, right? Star Wars isn't a kid's movie or kid's show, but it's for everybody. It's compatible with kids and adults. Kingdom Hearts is no different. Angel McQueen says, I didn't 100% notice they weren't there until after the Keyblade Graveyard. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I was too wrapped up in the original plot to notice or care. Gregory W. says, I heard Final Fantasy 13 was criticized a lot at first. I played it years later and enjoyed the trilogy. I heard a joke that since Luke Sword said Hope is the hit in the box, maybe it's Hope from 13. Oh, that'd be nuts. That would be crazy. But I liked 13. I mean, look, it's a weaker Final Fantasy, but a weaker Final Fantasy is still a baller JRPG. Gregory, there's a legit theory about Hope from FF13 being in the box. I mean, yeah, I actually think Axel Vega pulled that one off. Stuff like that is possible in Kingdom Hearts. But if there's anything to take away from this interview, it's that both Final Fantasy and Disney are going to be a smaller slice of the pie than they used to be. And as someone who loves Kingdom Hearts, I'm okay with that. On a scale of butter to gravy, how juicy was this interview? Dude, gravy. Lots of gravy, Andy Brew. Lots of gravy, Andy Brew. And speaking of Andy Brew, if you don't follow Andy Brew, I don't know what your problem is. Oh, Jesus, you're not Andy Brew 48. What the hell are you on Twitch? I always forget the number at the end. But listen, guys, if you're not following Andy Brew, he's right there in the chat. He's been on 1.5 million different podcasts. Andy, dude, thanks for hopping in here. This interview was juicy as hell, dude. I like 90% of what I saw in there. Maybe 95% of what I saw in there. The only thing that I guess I didn't like, per se, is that there won't be as many Kingdom Hearts characters. I'm not Kingdom Hearts, excuse me. There won't be as many Final Fantasy characters. But that's okay at the end of the day. That's okay. But everything else was juicy, dude. Fewer, more dense worlds. I think that's one of the best things you could pluck from this. But here, let me try that again. Maybe it is 48 and there's no underscore. There we go. There's my boy. There's my boy. All right, whether you're on YouTube or Twitch, you gotta follow my boy Andy Brew. You gotta follow him. And just for shits and giggles, has YouTube incorporated a... Nope, there's no shout-outs on YouTube yet. They gotta get on that. They gotta get on that. I know they're working on raids, but shout-outs would be huge too. But yeah, total gravy, though. Total gravy. Extra gravy. Yeah, Gregory gets it. Extra gravy. Extra gravy. I think the hope in the black box is going to be a pow-pow fruit from Destiny Islands. Oh, that'd be sweet. Which reunites Sora with his friends and family. A little tie-in to the first game. Oh, man, excuse me. Got me choking on my tears with that. That'd be really nice, Corey. I think that's a good thing. I like Violin's theory. If you guys know the speedrunner Violin, he's got a cool theory that the darknesses are in the box, and when you open them, they'll go and they'll possess the foretellers. Andy Bruce says, I've only seen snippets on Twitter, but I'm definitely going to read it and watch the pod later. Dude, there's such good stuff in here. Like, basically things like there's going to be fewer Disney worlds, but they're going to be more dense. There's going to be fewer worlds in general, but they're going to be more dense. Quadratum is going to serve as a headquarters where we're going to venture beyond Quadratum and into other worlds, but we will be coming back to Quadratum with Sora's apartment as the headquarters. There's so much of this in here that's so good. It's so much gravy, bro. Andy is the gravy, baby, 100%. Oh, P5 Royal, great game. Persona 5 Royal is the gold standard of JRPGs, and that's a hill your boy will die on. I don't know what to say. But honestly, and this is just wishful thinking, this should not be anyone's expectation, but if Kingdom Hearts 4 added some of the life sim stuff from Persona 5, I'd lose my mind. I'd lose my mind. That's like exactly what I'm fishing for, guys. I think stuff like the Confidant system and things like that, I think Kingdom Hearts could benefit from a lot of systems like that, but, you know, that's just me. Couch Potato says, the way Quadratum is reminds me of the hub world in World of Final Fantasy that Nomura did. Ooh! Yeah, because didn't the main character have an apartment in that game or something? Huh. The main character had an apartment? Yeah, Couch Potato, I think so. That would be cool. Corey Saraka says, my other theory is the black box is going to contain the hearts and minds of the people already taken over, and that when it's opened, they will regain their own bodies. Ooh, could be a power of waking power play. Ooh, I would like that. I would love that. Sigurd Confidant, baby, give me that. Give me that Sigurd Confidant, Andy Brew. I'll take it. Square Pair says, I haven't played P5, so I'll just take your word for it. Square Pair, if you love JRPGs, Persona 5 Royal is one of the best decisions you can make from a gaming perspective. Bottom line, it's that good. But the idea that Kingdom Hearts will have some like more life sim and day-to-day stuff, I think it's amazing. Like, I want as much of that as possible to go in with the combat, because it's clear that Kingdom Hearts, even now, is still trying to figure out how to perfect its gameplay loop, right? They try to break up the gameplay with, okay, you're going to do your action RPG stuff, and you're going to do your gummy ships in between worlds, and you're going to have some mini games, you're going to have some sledding missions, and you're going to have like a mini game hub world. Like, Kingdom Hearts has always played with this idea of like, hey, we want to mix up the gameplay for you. We don't want it to just be combat and swinging your sword. We want more stuff. But like, we don't need gummy ships. We don't need Baby's First Star Fox. We don't need the mini games. And don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed these portions in the past. I think the gummy ship aspect of Kingdom Hearts 3 is awesome. But I'll trade that in for life sim stuff and like character interactions any day. Any day. That's just where I'm at. Corey Saraka says Dream Eaters as the personas. There you go. I just want to hear Riku yell, "Kid!" before using Thunder Raga. Oh, that would be cool. The Guardian was Ansem's persona. There you go. Exactly. I mean, there's overlap between the Persona and Kingdom Hearts series. Like, the whole final Xehanort segment in Scala ad Kylum is kind of a dive to heart. Gregory W. says, Persona 3 Portable, 4 Golden, 5 Royal coming to Xbox Game Pass soon. They're all great games. I've played 4 Golden. I've played 5 Royal. I've never played 3. I'll have to give 3 a shot. But yeah. You know, getting back to the Kingdom Hearts of it all. Good stuff, guys. I mean, this interview was dense. I think, you know, if you've been following the channel and been following a lot of the conversations we're having here, We got a lot of the stuff that we got served is what we want. You know what I mean? Fewer, more dense worlds, more original content, less cameos. I don't know. To me, that's what I'm looking for. Couch Potato says the enemies in most personas are shadows, just like Kingdom Hearts, named after the psychological thing. Yes. Yeah, the whole Carl Jung psychology aspect of the Persona games. But yeah, look, I don't know if you guys have any other questions for me. I'm scrolling through this now. I'm looking at the final question here. As far as Missing Link goes, I'll try to, if I hear anything about the beta sign up, I'll try to let everybody know. I know I want to be in on that. That's what we have to look forward to. I think with this interview was a gift. I wasn't expecting this interview. It came out of nowhere. Gave us a lot of new juicy details. But man, I really think Missing Link is going to be something special. And I look forward to it. But yeah, with that out of the way, I think we're actually going to wrap it up here. I want to give another major shout out. Some love to the newest sages of the Lodge. The newest sage, even though Charlotte became a channel member so she could get that Kobe emote. I want to give another big shout out to our newest sage of the Lodge, Seth Stanford Reisinger. And I want to give additional shout outs to Brady Burleson, who is already a sage of the Lodge, and Billy the Kid Lawrence for throwing those $5 super chats. That goes a long way, guys. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this because I literally can't help myself from talking about these things. And this is a healthy outlet for me. And, you know, I love hanging in here and talking with all of you guys. I know I say that all the time, but it's worth repeating. You know, Couch Potato says Sigurd seems really interesting. I think Sigurd's going to be a huge main character in the future. I really do. I think Sigurd's going to be huge. Square Pear says, thanks for the stream, man. Hey, it's my pleasure to do this, guys. It really is my pleasure. Look, we're going to be live again on Thursday. We've got that FF7 showcase. I'm going to go live for it. You guys are welcome to come here and hang out. If we get anything crazy, we'll probably have an impromptu podcast. But if not, we'll just continue our Kingdom Hearts 3 level 1 critical run. And then Saturday morning, we're going to keep the Nuzlocke rolling. Kobe is a podcast guest soon. How about we let him be a podcast guest right now for the farewell? I'm going to go get him. He's calling. I'm going to go get him. We're going to end this podcast with Kobe. Hang on tight. I'm going to go get him. And yeah, I want 7 remake news. Big time. But hang tight. We're signing off with Kobe. Buddy. They want you. Come here. Come here. Come on. Buddy. Come here, you big boy. Come here, you big boy. Here we go. Here we go. Say hi. Say hi to everybody. Don't be shy, okay? Don't be shy. Oh, hello, yes. Yes, I love you, buddy. I love you. Okay. But we're on camera. Buddy. We're on camera, but... I know. You missed me. I know. But, buddy, I'm trying to end the podcast, buddy. Okay. Hey. This is the weirdest ending to an episode ever. Okay, buddy. Okay, Daddy has to end the stream. Come on. I'll take you to Mommy. Come here. I know. So exciting. I know, he's so happy now. He's crazy. I'll wrap it up and then I'll take him out for a walk. Okay, everybody. Woo! Okay. Thanks for hanging out. Oh man, I didn't expect him to go that crazy. This reminds me of my sister's dog, just as happy. Oh yeah, he said the podcast ain't over. Yeah, I'll try to bring him in. A little more often. He's a ball of joy. Bring the bunny. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We're gonna wrap it up. Stick around on Twitch. We're gonna raid my buddy Born of Kokiri. He's ripping some Majora's Mask, which is the best Legend of Zelda game of all time. Breath of the Wild, maybe. I don't know. Ocarina of Time. They're all classics. It's why we love Zelda. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. This has been episode 128. Thank you to the Sages of the Lodge and all of you for hanging out. And our new mods on YouTube. Max Hall, who didn't make it, but that's okay. And then another shout out to our homie, the damn newest mod, Kazuke Man. Thank you, brother. But we're ending it here. Good night, everybody.